What is going on, guys? It's your boy Reloaded, or Gavin here, bringing you a brand new video. And today's video is very serious. Alright, I have done this last year. If you haven't seen that video, you can go watch it, but it's pretty much going to be the exact same thing this year. My video I did last year was called the 1-year anniversary, and that's when that was a year after I got diagnosed with cancer. Alright, and today it marks the 2-year anniversary. So please watch this whole entire video. It's going to be really important, and I'm pretty much all these new subscribers I've gotten over that 1 year, from April 24th 2016 to April 24th 2017. All the new subs that came over to my channel and don't know what I've been battling for the past 2 years, y'all gonna find out and know the whole entire story. So let's get right into it. On April 24th of 2015, I got diagnosed with leukemia. But let's start before that. Alright, probably a week before the diagnosis, I was just having fun, doing normal life, going to school. I was riding dirt bikes with my friend Tyler, and just doing every normal day stuff, right? Nothing was going wrong and nothing like that. Everything was going perfect. Alright, and for some reason, let's say 2 days before, it was on a Sunday, and I was about to go to bed. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I was about to go to bed so I can wake up tomorrow, the next day, and go to school. Right? About around 11 o'clock at night, I started getting growing lower back pains, and it got so bad I just went ahead and walked downstairs and tried to sleep on the couch. I thought it was my bed, right? So went downstairs, tried to lay down on the couch and fall asleep. It just got worse and worse and worse, and at the point that night, it got so bad that I literally could not walk when I tried to stand up. I literally crawled like a 1-year-old to my parents' room and tell them I'm having serious back pains. It's so bad that I can't even walk. That's why I'm crawling. So what my mom did, she ended up calling CHKD emergency room, and they were asking me to lay in certain types of positions and do exercises that could probably help with my back problems, but none of them helped. So we ended up going to CHKD emergency room. We got in a room and they checked out my back and everything. We tell them what's going on, and they just gave me some pain relievers and sent me on home. So, because they thought it was muscle spasms. So I went home, took some. They worked for that night. I was able to get some sleep. Then I woke up the next morning, went to my grandma's house, and took another pain reliever, but it actually got worse. The pain reliever did not help. So I ended up staying home from school that day, right? And I got really tired, so I went down to take a nap on the couch, and after about 2 or 3 hours of sleeping, my grandma wakes me up saying, "Gavin, you look really, really pale. You look like you got no blood in you at all." And I looked at myself, and at yourself you don't think you're pale because you're looking at your own self, but to them, to somebody else, you look pale. And I probably look pale right now, but imagine whiter than this. And this paleness is going to go away this summer, trust me. But super pale, and my gums were bleeding, right? Literally all I could do was taste blood in my mouth. So we both freaking out. My grandma calls the lady that used to live in back of her. She's a school nurse, and she came over and see what was up. She checked my temperature. She did all this. She asked me to bend down and try to touch my toes so she can like check my back or something like that for some reason. And then when I came up after bending down, I went completely black, right? I was still conscious, but I just could not see anything. Like literally everything went black to me, and I was just said, "I'm about to pass out. I can't see nothing." She was like, "Okay, sit down, sit down, sit down." So after that, she called my mom and told her what was up and what was happening. and we went straight to the hospital, CHKD. And we sat there for about 4 or 5 hours, right? And then they ended up taking blood work from me, test my blood and see if there's anything wrong with that. So a few hours went by. It's the very next day. It's probably, yeah, it's Tuesday, about 4 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, and this is April 24th of 2015, this Tuesday I'm talking about. So Tuesday comes along, the 24th of April. He comes in at 4 o'clock in the morning after the blood work comes in, and he tells my parents actually that he has leukemia. Me dumbfounded, I'm sitting there, okay, what is that? I'm like, what's leukemia, right? I'm so confused, because I didn't know any type of cancer really. Like, I didn't know how many different types there were and stuff. I didn't know all these different names for them. The only one I really known was breast cancer. But we found out, and I'm sitting there dumbfounded, don't know what leukemia means, and I'm just sitting there confused. And then after that, my mom started crying and stuff like that. She wouldn't tell me. And then my dad walks in, right? Because I was scared. I asked my mom to call my dad in. And my dad walks in, and my mom was like, he has cancer. And when I heard that, I was sad and scared and mad at the same time, and disappointed in myself. Because one thing, I was scared because I was like, am I going to die or something like that? Or is this like a terminal cancer that I have? But it's not. Luckily, leukemia is not. So it's a high percentage rate of cure is 92%. I don't know if it has changed for the past 2 years, but me, and also I was sad and depressed or disappointed in myself because I thought I did something wrong to deserve it. And also I was disappointed seeing my parents literally cry in front of me because they were scared and upset as well. But I was diagnosed on the 24th of April at 4 o'clock in the morning with ALL, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, B cell. There's two types of cells, B cell and T cell. B cell, it was what we call it, well, me and my family call it the good cell, and T cell is not so good cell. Alright, B cell has a high cure rate and remission is really good, and not a lot of people relapse from that. But with T cell, with T cell you have to have a bone marrow transplant. So, and there's a chance of relapsing a lot more. So I was B cell, and we had to stay at the hospital on the 8th floor for like a week or two, so I could start taking chemo and stuff like that. Then I went home, right? And when I went home, the chemo first got to me. This one type of chemo I had to take was vincristine. I still take this today, but it doesn't affect me like it did when I first started. What happened is the vincristine chemo will make your hands and feet, the nerves in there, burn, like feel like you're stepping on like needles. And I felt like I just couldn't walk because the pain was so unbearable. I thought there was something else wrong, but no, it was just the chemo. But I was literally on a walker because I couldn't hold myself up because of the pain in my feet. So I think I stayed home for about a week or two, and then I started having a pain go through my pelvic area. Not go through, but just sitting on my pelvic area, and it was hard to walk. It hurt really badly. So we ended up back in the hospital on the 8th floor, and 3 weeks went by, and then the pain just magically disappears. When the pain disappears, we just stay a couple more because you have to take some chemo. A couple more days. Then my arm, my right bicep right here. I don't know if y'all can see it, but there is a scar here and a scar here. I'm going to get into that later in the story. But this arm right here started getting really red, right? Like irritated, like imagine if you got a sunburn right here, that red, and it was really heated. But I couldn't have gotten a sunburn because I was inside the hospital. So we didn't know what was going on. We thought there was an infection, which there was, but the doctors didn't think anything too of it. So they sent me home. A couple days go by, my arm was getting bigger, right? And more redder. Then my foot was starting to grow. Right, there was the pain that was in my pelvic area must have been an infection. That's when it went away, it shot everywhere to different parts of my body and started growing a staph infection. And the worst part of it, it went to my left foot, and that literally, when I was at home, my foot was the size of a football. While my arm was still red, my right calf was destroyed, not destroyed, just like starting getting red as well. So was, and like a little dot on my left hip was getting red as well. So we ended up going back to the hospital. They took a full body X-ray, a full body MRI, a foot MRI, stuff like that to see what was going on. They found out that I had staph infection. So this is what took a lot out of me. All right, was just this infection. All right, I was in the hospital for a very, very long time, probably 3 to 6 months, even more maybe. But I was going through tons of surgeries and plus the chemo and stuff. I was bedridden for about a month or two. So I had to get surgery on this arm. That's why you see these two dots, because they had to cut these open and suck the infection out. They had to do the exact same two scars on my thigh, and then on my hip there's like barely one scar. You can barely see it, but on my foot took the most damage. I had 7 surgeries just on my left foot alone, because I think they couldn't get it all out right away, so they had to constantly do a little bit at a time. So 7 surgeries on my foot, plus the surgery on my arm, my calf, and my right hip. That's about 11-12 surgeries in total. And so I was bedridden. They had a wound vac on my foot, which was sucking out any infection that was like was growing again, or that was still in there that they couldn't get out. So I had that on for about a good 3 weeks, and I was bedridden. I couldn't walk, of course. I couldn't leave the bed because I had a big, what do you call it, a vacuum. So plus doing that, my legs contracted. If you don't know what contracted means, it means they get stuck in one place pretty much. Since I did not get to stand up or anything or stretch my legs out, they ended up contracting, and when I did try to stand up for the first time, I couldn't bend my knees straight. I was literally sitting at a 90-degree angle. Like pretty much when you sit down, and when I tried to stand up, I was doing that pretty much. I just looked like I was still sitting. So I couldn't straighten my legs out at all. So after the surgeries and the wound vac came off, and all the stitches and bandages came off and stuff like that, they sent me home. So I was just pretty much wheelchaired the whole time, and they would send physical therapy and occupational therapy to my house. And the physical therapist was literally saying, he said that I'm probably never going to walk again. And that scared me. Like, I'm going to be a paraplegic just because of this staph infection made me contract and I can't do nothing. I was scared. And then I ended up going back into the hospital, right, for I think I think I might have gotten a fever, and you had when you're going through treatment. When you go through treatment, you have to, if you get a fever over a certain amount of temperature, you have to go into the hospital and be admitted. So I got admitted, my temperature went down and stuff, and while we were in the hospital, it was during the summer, it was like June 29th, and I'm going to start making videos about this on the 29th of June, just to tell you what happened. But my mom says on the 29th of June, a doctor came in and said I was in remission. If you don't know what remission means, that means the chemo has worked and there's no more infected leukemia cells in my body, but I still have to go through the treatment of taking chemo and stuff like that for 3 years and a 2-year of just checking up on blood work, right? So that was a super happy day for all of us. I literally started crying. I started crying when I found out I was in remission. But the doctor said, we got good news and bad news. The good news is you're in remission, blah blah blah. She said the bad news is you ain't leaving until you're going to start walking again. And I'm like, huh? And I was so dumbfounded. But they threw me down on the 7th floor, on the rehab floor, and I was down there for about a month and a half or 2 months to start physical therapy. And wow, that was a struggle. Like, physical therapy was a struggle for me, but I fought my way through it, and they ended up casting my legs, like serial casting my legs straight, pretty much forcing my legs straight, because when I was, for some reason, when I was laying down, I could have my legs straight, but if I tried to stand up, I couldn't have my legs straight. So they made me lay down so I can straighten my legs out, and then they've casted my legs like a cast if you broke your leg or something. They casted my leg from the top of my thigh all the way down to my ankle, and pretty much forcing my legs, my knees and my legs to go straight out. So pretty much a permanent stretch that is stuck there. I even got a picture of me in the wheelchair with my cast on my Instagram page. All you gotta do is just scroll down on my Instagram to find that picture. And if you want to try to find that picture, my Instagram link is in the description below, so you can try to find that picture. But after my legs were straight and stuff like that, I still did physical therapy to get them more straight and learn how to walk again and learn how to use my hands again and stuff like that. So I ended up doing really hard work, and when I was going through that surgeries and stuff, I lost pretty much about 30 to 45 pounds of my body weight. So I was down to 99 pounds. For a 16-year-old, I was at 99 pounds. So I ended up having to get a feeding tube, which is a tube that they run up one of your nostrils to the back of your throat to your stomach, and they just have like liquid formula that they would run through a machine that goes up through your nose and down through your throat into your stomach. And I cooperated with it a lot of times, but then after a while I started getting allergic to it because I couldn't hold none of that stuff down. I started throwing it up. So they prescribed me to a type of pill that's supposed to stimulate your appetite. I know one type of pill they put me on is called Marinol, and that's supposed to stimulate your appetite, and then that didn't really work, so they put me on another one. I can't remember the name right now. I swear, I think it starts with a P. But it stimulates your appetite, and this one stimulated my appetite so much that I would eat like 3 times the normal amount of food I would eat, and then I would instantly go to sleep. But I was on that pill for about a month, I think, or longer, and starting to gain my weight back and stuff. After rehab, I went home and started doing physical therapy outside of the hospital. I had to go into like a CHKD therapist for occupational and physical therapy. Did that for months And here I am today, walking like a normal person. I'm running faster, running better, and everything like that. But during that time of physical therapy as well, I was still going through the treatments of the hard chemo pretty much. So I think every once a month I had to go in and take this type called Arinia, because I couldn't take the first actual thing because I actually had an allergic reaction to it called pegasparaginase, and I had 2 allergic reactions to it, which I almost died from. And so that I had to get put on Arinia, which is the same type of chemo but without that PEG part. There's something in there that is called PEG, and that's what I'm allergic to. And so I had to take Arinia about 8 times. Then I went into maintenance, and that's what I am now. And what maintenance is not that much harder of a chemo, so I don't have to be on chemo or really hard chemo, to like hard chemo losing your hair and stuff. But I'm just on oral chemo, and when I first started, it was like once every month, I think. I would get a spinal tap or a lumbar puncture, and now it has spread out to once every 3 months I get a lumbar puncture or a spinal tap, whatever you want to call it. And I still have to take oral chemos, 1 oral chemo every day, and one type of chemo called methotrexate on every Monday. And I still have to take vincristine every 4 weeks, once every 4 weeks. So that's pretty much it of the story. That's all I pretty much remember. The only thing else I did have was when I went in for a fever last year in December, I think. No. I ended up in the hospital for mouth sores at one point, because the type of chemo can make you have mouth sores, and I was in there for about a good amount of time. I was in there for past Thanksgiving, so I missed Thanksgiving, but I think it was 2015. Missed Thanksgiving because of the mouth sores, and once they were gone, I got to go home. And then probably early 2016, I went in for a fever, and I ended up, they were drawing blood, and I saw blood leaking out of my skin, and for some reason I looked down on my chest where my port is, saw blood dripping out. I looked over to my mom and I said, "Mom." She came in and looked at me, and all of a sudden I didn't know what was going on. And I woke up in the ICU screaming the F word as loud as I can, because I was super scared. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what happened. But then I was out again, and I woke up on the 8th floor, and my parents was saying that I had a seizure. I seen the side of my own blood coming out of my port. I had a seizure, and I also was low on platelets, so I think that's what could have happened as well. But instead of those 2 things, there's nothing been going on. Yes?
Still talking?
Yep.
Sorry.
But still doing better today, really doing better. And I hope I still stay better, and I don't, the stuff I've seen and been through, I do not want to wish on anybody. You really don't, you shouldn't be wishing it on anybody in the first place, even though if you haven't went through the pain. But I know for sure that I would definitely 100%, 1,000%, I'm never going to wish this upon anybody, because this is some painful, scary stuff. So just, if you know anybody that's going through this right now, or you're going through this yourself, or any type of cancer that your parents, your siblings, or any of your family members or friends, be there with them. support them and everything like that, because it's going to be a tough time for them. So I just wanted to tell you guys that this is my second year. It's been 2 years today ever since I got diagnosed, and I'm still healthy, getting more healthier every day. I keep on praying I get healthy. I keep on praying to saying that please heal all the other kids that's going through this right now, and praying that nobody has to go through any of this anymore. So that's pretty much my story of how I got diagnosed. This is a two-year anniversary video. So if you stayed through this whole entire video, I want you to leave a thumbs up and say anything you want. But a lot of people, some people's going to be out there calling BS on it and think I'm lying. But my longtime subscribers can come in and tell them that I'm not lying, and y'all can go to my Instagram and scroll down and find the pictures. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. If you did make it this far, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.